Okay, so we're now on step 13 called add a shape to your slide. So step number 13. Next, you're going to add a rectangle behind just the slide title on your master. To do this, and I give you two different ways. You can click on the shape button, and I gave you a little picture of what it looks like, which is this little guy right here. This is the shape button. So you can click on that, and click on that, then go to shapes, and then it pops up another little window, which is what shows over in the right-hand side of what will happen when you click on that. The other option I gave you is you can go to Insert and then Shape right here, and then it gives you the same thing. In pretty much every single case, let me get rid of those toolbars, every one of these images is accessible also through the toolbars. So you just pick one of those two methods. I'm just going to go ahead and do this one. And now we're on step 14. So you can see on step 14, it says on the shapes window, which is this guy that opened up right here, I have you clicking on the square tool in that upper left corner because I have a red box around that particular image. So you're just going to left click on that. You always left click on things to select them. The only times I'm going to have you right click on things is when I want you to bring up a menu. So if I say click on something, it means left click. All right, so we have now clicked on that, but you don't see any changes. So if you look over at the instructions and the results section, it says, after you have selected the rectangle, the cursor will change to a plus sign. So let's bring that down onto the slide, and you can see that my cursor has now become a plus sign. All right, so step 15, move your plus sign cursor to the upper left corner of the master slide, so right up here. All right. Once the center of the cursor is where you want to start your rectangle, and I kind of like it right here. I don't like it all the way up in the upper corner. I like a little bit of border. So I'm just going to leave it like right around in here in that upper corner. You're going to left click and hold. So once again, now I've pushed down my left button, and I'm not going to let up on the left button yet. So left click and hold, then drag your cursor to the bottom right position where you want your rectangle to end. Now I want this only to highlight and be underneath that title. So I'm going to take a look at the edges on the left and make sure it's about the same on the right. Looks good. Right now you can see that the bottom of my box that I'm drawing, and I still have not let up on my left cursor, okay, or on my left mouse button. You can see right now the bottom of this box that I've drawn is too close to that first bullet. So I'm going to lift it up a little bit, and that looks about right. I'll go there. Okay. And now that I've got it exactly where I want it, I'm going to go ahead and release that left mouse button for the first time. All right. So now I've got this big white box, and you might be looking at it thinking, but what happened to the title? Well, what's happened to the title is it is behind the white box that I have just drawn. Anytime you add something to your slide, it's always on top. All of these items on these slides are set up as layers. So they're not really side by side, even though they might look like it. They're actually on top of each other. So in order to see the text behind the box, you're going to have to bring it to the front, and we'll do that now. So that's what we're going to be doing now on step 16. To move the rectangle behind the text box on the menu, click on Arrange. Let's go up here to Arrange. I'm going to left click that. And then it says Order. I'm going to come to Order. And then it says Send to Back. Now all of these options, there's Bring to Front, Bring Forward, Send Backward, Send to Back. Right now, it's grayed out for Bring to Front and Bring Forward because right now this square or this rectangle that I've just drawn is on top. So there's no bringing it forward. The only things I can do right now are send it backward or send to the back. If I had a whole bunch of things that it was sitting on top of, I could choose send backward and it would go one level back. So if it were sitting on top of 6 images, it would just go behind the top image. And then if I hit send backward one more time, it would go behind the next image, but it would still be on top of others. By choosing send to back, it goes to the absolute back of everything that I've got up there. Now right now all I have is this in the text box, so it doesn't matter which one I choose. I'm just going to do send to back just because. I tend, if I want something in the far back, I just choose send to the back. All right, so now our title is on top of our text box. All right, moving on to step number 17. If you need to adjust the size or position of the rectangle to make the left and right sides an equal distance from the edge of the slide. So what I'm talking about here are these edges. If I had stopped dragging my text box and I had left it like this is kind of uneven. This is smaller over here and a lot bigger over here. So I'm going to show you what I just did, but I'm going to show you how to adjust that. Okay, so if you need to adjust the size or position of the rectangle to make the left and right sides an equal distance from the edge of the slide, hover over the sizing square on the shape outline until your cursor changes to double-headed arrows. So I'm talking about these little boxes over here, okay? This corner one would allow you to change two lengths at the same time, but I just want to bring this out. So I want you hovering over this middle little box, and you get the double-headed arrow, and then at that point you can left click and hold and then drag it back out, and once it's where you want it, then you let go. And that's how you resize something. Let me show you really quickly how the corners behave. So with this, if I left click, I'm actually moving my arrow up and down, but you see nothing is changing with the top or bottom of that. It only affects left to right. Okay, that's not the case with these corners. If I click on the corner, I can now instantly make it smaller in every direction. Okay, so this way, it's changing the bottom and the left at the same time. So I'm just going to go ahead and put that back. All right, so that's how these boxes work. So that's the purpose of these little boxes on the outside. Now, of course, if I did this one, it would just go up and down. Same with this one, up and down. And then these all behave the same way. All right, now moving on to step 18. So now you're going to change the color of the rectangle. I want you to choose a fill color on the top toolbar. Fill color is, and I gave you a picture of it in the slides, is this right here. And when you hover over it, I'm not clicking yet, I'm hovering. You can see that it gives you the name of the button. It's called the fill color button. All right, so choose the fill color button on the toolbar. It looks like a bucket with a drop of color tipping out, and I just left click on that. And then the color window pops up, and you just select a color that goes well with your slide background color. So I've got a medium blue. I'm going to go for a dark blue. I don't actually like any of those enough, so I'm going to go custom in this case. And I can come over here under hue, and I bring that sucker over here. And now I can click anywhere in here and get the exact color I want. And I kind of like this. That's a little too dark. There we go. Maybe up here. Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. All right. And transparency just means very transparent or not at all transparent. And I don't want any transparency. So I'm going to say OK. And now I have a dark blue rectangle behind my title. All right. So we are done with step 18. So moving on to step 19, to change the outline color of the rectangle, because right now we still have that rectangle selected, so the changes we make will be to the rectangle, click on the border color button, which is a pencil. So we come up here, and here's the border color. So we're going to go ahead and click on that, which brings up the color selector window. Step 20 says on the color selector window, click the black color circle, which is the upper left corner. So choose black, and there you go. Now, you did have the ability, if you don't want borders, to have transparent. It just takes away the color of the border completely, and all you have is the fill color. But I like black right now. All right, so that's it. Step 20 is complete. I do want to show you one thing right now that's very important, and maybe why some of you might be having problems with these steps. If at some point you clicked off of the rectangle and then tried to come back in and select it, Notice right now that this border is on the inside of my rectangle. What is really selected right now is my title text, not the rectangle. So if I were trying to make changes right now to, let's say, the color, you can see that suddenly I've made the text box a color and the box that we just drew is still blue. So I'm going to go ahead and undo that. In fact, I'm going to undo it this way because it was a mistake I didn't like. So the way you go ahead and move the selection from this text box back to the rectangle is you just go outside the text box, bring your little cursor there, and it doesn't matter that right now it's a four-way arrow. It thinks, okay, I'm getting ready to move the text box, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to left click and select the rectangle instead. All right, so if you accidentally find yourself in the text, which you could have just by clicking here, because as long as it's inside what it knows is the text box area, it will select the text box. So you need to go out here and just really select that rectangle, and then the changes that you make will be made to the rectangle and not to the text. All right, let's move on.